Well, we've made it another week, I think. Make sure we got some sound. I'm not talking to myself.
We've made it.
Yep, definitely. Well, before I forget, a big thank you to all those that make this possible, all the organisations and all the support groups, etc. I shan't name them because I'll get it all wrong and forget them. This week I'm running Datv Red. I'll mention a bit more about that in a minute, but that's why I've got it up in the top corner with the latest firmware in that Everest did. Thought it was time to give it another play, and I do hear sort of rumours. I've seen Ohan around a little bit, which is great. That once he's secured, I think 9,999 sort of bits and pieces, then there'll be a new version coming out. So we look forward to that. Right, let's get and see who's actually registered so far. Do you know what I can't see? What I want that one. Frank's two Franks, isn't it? Right, so there's myself, Leon, which I always assume is there, and he's not let me down so far. Phil, who I know was chatting to him earlier, and Frank, who my mic packed up whilst I was chatting to him. The plug fell out. And ZS6G, I think I saw you testing earlier, which signals look good. So we should be in for a good net. Let's go back to me on the camera. Right, let's get the SRT side of things out. Been playing with my SRT internet repeater, which is all it's on, and there's a different screen set up now. Actually, if I click on that one, that's what it looks like now. So not very exciting, but that's all the information. There's four inputs on it. So anybody that's aware of it, that's what it will now look like. And the logic, which we had connected, it's now in a box. Well, I say a box. It's got no sides and things and stuff, but I thought it warranted it in. Now it's an FKK logic. I ran out of letters, so I couldn't put any more to the call sign of Martin, so he just had to remain as FKK. And the LED's flash now, so that's all I've been up to. Let's go back to me on the camera. He says, why didn't that work? I know, because I was on the wrong camera, isn't it? Right, even confusing myself. The Datv Red, to update the firmware, I used to do it via the SSH effectively. There's a script in Datv Red, and I had a little help file that I'd done last time I did it, and I couldn't seem to get things right. The error that I was getting with was tied up with the SSH host key checking. Now, from the wiki page to do with obviously Datv Red, there's this information, and I wasn't sure where I was supposed to stick it, shall we say? The .ssh stroke config. Do I have to create a config file? The only .ssh I could find was on the Pluto, but maybe there's a different way now, and perhaps it doesn't work. So I reverted to doing it the tried and proven way that I could just wander into the garage, connect up the laptop and drop the file across and eject, and I did it that way. But if it does work and there's an idiot guide somewhere, if someone could send it to me, because I get terribly confused. It's my old age, I think. That's what I blame. Now, yesterday, suddenly an email came through with a video on it, only a short video, which it won't mean a lot to a lot of people, But it's the Worthing District Amateur Radio Club, October 1981. 1981. Now, I'm on there. Jeff J8DHE's in amongst it. Robin Jed XEU, for those that were into DATV in the UK, he did the Spectrum and Amiga program. Tony XRX, which did an interview with a chicken at the Chalkpits Museum, is probably his most famous thing. There's a video out of it. Roy G4WTV, who's been around for absolutely, I always called him Wobbly TV, which he didn't like. But he was interviewed by the BBC in Broom Cupboard TV, because he used to run his station from underneath the stairs as such. And Andy G3UEQ, who used to build Vidicon cameras and such and other bits and pieces. But there's lots of other people in there. It won't mean anything, but you should be able to find me. So I'll play the video, and I don't know what to say really, but it comes with a warning, shall we say. Let's go. It's only very, very short.
Through on the beacons. If anybody wants any more information on it, there's quite a bit around here. You're not always quite sure which one is talking at the time. For those who are close enough, it fits onto an A5 page. I've got another one available actually, which is a little bit about the second day after it was launched. I was astounded then, because although the satellite was spinning rapidly, it hadn't stabilised at that point. Because it was still spinning very rapidly, the signal was going up and down. Interface. Now that is exactly what it's sending, and you can plug that in directly. You can just feed it into the input socket. They contain things like all the parameters about the computer, the supply lines. You know, I'm not going to go through all six, but there's a triple amount of information about the satellite itself in the form of on-offs, whether an item is on or off. And this really tells you some of the larger rivers. So that's quite in its own right. They haven't actually sent it, but it's actually the DigiTalker chips which Texas brought out, schools and scientists, about what the satellite is actually doing. So in other words, when you hear it come over the horizon, again you'll be able to see this on 2 meters without any problem at all. It's probably going to be about sort of 6 hours out of date. If you're around 2 o'clock in the morning, Video Genies, a little bit of interface circuitry. PETs, there's already equipment now which can plug into a PET to receive. So any of the standard home computers will receive it without too much trouble. But as I say, £50, you're talking about sort of £70 in all, £70, £80. TV picture straight off air. Other things as well. You can listen into the data net still on the channel on the coast here. There's a few of us still working on that. To range, the university will switch on the telemetry, but they keep control. It's sending telemetry all the way. I didn't mention that. It does also have a Morse generator on board, basically going up over the North Pole, down to the South Pole and back up. It's slightly tilted. It's actually at 97.5 degrees. Angles when it comes over the horizon at different times is purely the fact that the Earth's spinning underneath it.
Well, there you go. Now, did you recognise me? That's the big thing. Yeah. Over to you there, Leon, from G8KOE.
Okay, let me just see, do I have sound? Yeah, I do have sound. Okay, hello Martin. No, I did not see you there. I just saw a lot of people smoking, and I think there was one guy that remotely looked like FKK. I could be wrong. But I definitely didn't see you. No, you must have undergone metamorphosis or something in a very high degree. Yeah, okay, well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody listening and watching and streaming. I started working on the video transmitters for the Air Force base, and I made a little board, and I actually tested the lot last night. This is the a tiny control board with the pre-emphasis circuit on it, and this is the standard little synthesizer module, the whatever, something 3451 or whatever, and I just had this antenna on it, and it worked fine on 2285.5. That's where they want it. The other two must be on different frequencies. Yes, that's about what I did during the week. The organ and things are all done now. There, it's all sealed up in a box, all 10 of the organ boards. And I spoke to the guy, and he said, "Oh, but he's got 4 other boards. It's more modern ones than those, but they are dead. They're not burnt, but they're dead. And would I please have a look at it?" So I said, "Yeah, okay, you can bring them along. I'll have a look." He says they've got a block on them, so I presume that's they've got a chip on them. No, it's not just transistors. So we'll have a look when he brings it sometime. Yeah. Otherwise, no. Oh yeah. I've been working with chemicals. My other hobby. I said I want to make some heavy soldering tips for my soldering iron, and okay, I finally found the copper rod that I need. That should arrive tomorrow. Then you have to iron plate it after you've machined it to the shape that you want. You have to iron plate it, or else it doesn't last very long if it's bare copper. And the recipe for the plating solution for that I've got is ferrous sulfate and ferrous chloride and something else, which is easy to get. But the ferrous chloride is a problem. Not ferrous chloride, ferrous chlorate, iron 2 chlorate, and I couldn't get it. All the chemical places, there was one place that could sell me 25 kilograms. What do I do with 25 kilograms when I need like 25 grams? So I googled, and yes, it's very easy to make. Hydrochloric acid and steel wool, and I made half a liter of that concentrated, evaporated it until it's starting to crystallize. So it's like super concentrated, half a liter, and it's beautiful. It's got the nice light green color. I've filtered it because there's a lot of, because you're using steel and not pure iron, you get a lot of carbon deposit settling to the bottom. So I put it through some filter paper, and it's beautiful, crystal clear green, slightly light green color, which they said that's what it should be. So now I looked at my hydrometers, because you need an 11% solution of this ferrous chlorate. Yeah, ferrous chlorate. Or is it chloride? I can't remember now. Ferrous chloride. Yeah, it's ferrous chloride. It's made with hydrochloric acid, so it's chloride. Ferrous chloride, yeah. So I quickly googled what is the specific gravity of 11% ferrous chloride, and they said, okay, it's between 1.24 and 1.45 or something. So okay, well, 1.35 should be middle of the road. Now I look through all my hydrometers that I've got here. No, not one of them will make it. I've got one that will make it, but it's a tall one, and I don't want to use such a big volume of the stuff just to measure it and dilute it until I've got it to 1.35. So I'll quickly go to the shop tomorrow and buy a standard battery hydrometer that will make 1.35 easily, and just take just a little vial inside the actual hydrometer and put it in a test tube and come up to the right concentration and make my mix of iron plating electrolyte. So yeah, it was a bit fun and games playing with the chemistry for a change. Right, I must give it to Phil. I saw Frank ZS6 Golf Echo earlier on, so I thought he would be just after me, but I see Phil. I couldn't find the form. The thing is not on the WhatsApp like it usually is, so I couldn't see who's on. So Phil, over to you. M0 PIT for the group from ZS1 Mike in Worcester.
Yeah, turn the audio down. Thanks, Leon. Good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. It's quite a nice day in the little village of Rhodes, which is in the centre of England, and there's a bit of heavy cloud out there, but the sun does break through from time to time, and it's quite nice and warm, which is nice. Just nice. Yeah, Leon, playing around with chemicals. Yeah, it's when I was very young, my next door neighbour, he dabbled in chemicals, etc. Surprisingly, it wasn't his trade, but he had a really fantastic knowledge of chemicals, etc. And he had quite a little lab in his shed, and as a young lad of about 8 or 9, I used to go in there, and he used to mix chemicals together and show me things and set fire to all sorts of stuff, and you get different coloured flames and things like that. It's very, very, very interesting. Remember, he used to make these little bombs, and it was a plastic tube with a cap on it, and he would put conker juice, which is horse chestnut trees, the conkers that come off it, and he would boil them up to produce this yellow liquid. I presume it must have been concentrated, and he would put that in the little plastic phial, and in the top there's some dilute acid in a piece of cotton wool, and he used to sort of throw them, not at you, but he used to throw them like a little hand grenade, and they used to go pop, and all the foam used to come out. Yeah, chemicals. Yeah, I mean, I play around with ferric chloride and hydrochloric acid, but really it's about as far as I go. Yeah. Anyhow, as for the video, yeah, I mean, Martin did undergo some sort of transformation, I think, because he had hair in those days, quite long hair, but that's the only hint I shall give. What have I been up to? Well, I had to take the car down to the garage. I had a warning light come up to say that the tyre pressure sensor couldn't be seen, and I reset it a few times. And where are we doing on power levels? Yeah, that's okay. Had to reset it a few times. I got fed up of doing that, so I decided to take it down the garage, and in the end I had to have 2 of them replaced. One was almost dead, and the other one apparently had a low battery on it. So I had 2 of those, so that set me back 150 quid, but at least I don't get an annoying light appearing on the dashboard now, and an alarm sounding every time I start the car. So anyhow, so that was that. So that's the saga of the car. What else did I do? Well, Last week, Leon mentioned about putting a fan on my Pluto Plus, and I had thought about it because it was quite unstable when it got hot, and I thought about putting a fan on it, and I thought, well, yeah, there's no circulation in its case, which is this here. But Leon said, oh, you put a row of holes down the sides. So that's exactly what I did. So here she is. So there's the fan, and it's on the Pluto Plus. And there's the row of holes down there. And it takes, it's a 5-volt fan, and there's a couple of pins, or a couple of connections on the Pluto Plus for 5 volts. So I'll put a little socket, plug-on socket on that. And there she is. Now, did it work? Yeah, it was fantastic. Using SDR console, there's a screen, a window you can bring up to lock onto the beacon, so it tracks the beacon, so if there's any frequency shift it will compensate. Before the fan, and with the case on, with the cover on, I noticed a drift of somewhere between 20 and 25 kilohertz, which is a lot. So that's how much it drifted over a period of time. When I took the cover off, which was my first experiment, it didn't drift anywhere near as much as that. So with Leon's suggestion, I did the necessary with the fan and the holes, etc. I put that on. And now the drift on it is about a kilohertz. So it's gone from 25 to 1. And it's made a massive improvement. And that's basically down to the case on here not having any ventilation. How much of that drift is totally associated with this, I don't know, but it has certainly improved it from a figure of somewhere around about 20 to 25 kilohertz down to 1 kilohertz, and that drift is sort of like over a period of an hour. So yeah, so everybody who's got a Pluto Plus, I would strongly recommend that you put a fan on it, and it works a treat then. So that's what I've been doing. So now I'm going to hand it over to, who's next? Frank. So I'm going to hand it over to Frank. But if anybody's got any update on Gary and the saga of his PC, and his and getting back on the satellite, I think we would I think we'd all appreciate a little update if anybody's got one. So right, so let me have a look. Frank, yes, it is Frank. So I'm going to hand it over to you then, Frank. I'm going to put up a test card. I put up a nice test card. I put this up earlier. I thought it was brilliant. But I'll put this test card up. And then I shall kill carrier, and it's over to you then, Frank.
Thank you very much, Phil. Got a bit of roll on your your test card there. It's ages since I've been on. I have been watching the net when I can on YouTube with interest. Let me swivel around in my chair a bit. Oh look, another camera, eh? Whoa, sophistication. Wow, I must say, when was that Worthing video taken? 1981. I would have been a student in London then, and I did have a group of us dabbled with ATV at the time. I distinctly remember going to the BATC event or show. It would have been 1980, 81, and we'd built this TV transmitter based on, I think it was a Pi Cambridge or a Pi Westminster or something, with a vestigial sideband filter for AM. And my humble contribution was a black and white Vidicon based camera, as I recall. And someone else had a UHF beam. And we were in a sort of some kind of rented accommodation in a block of flats that we had this thing on a rotator. Well, we had it until the landlord figured out who it was. had the cables anyway. Those were the days. But no, I wouldn't have recognised anyone in the Worthing Club. And I have to have another look to see if I can spot Martin with hair. He certainly, since I've last been on, he's done a lot more. He's done a lot more with SRT. I recall sending some SRT from vMix. They keep Peter happy. And just when about the end of the last year, but looks like you've got quite a setup there. I'll have to investigate that and try and figure it out some more. What have I been up to? Well, nothing with chemicals like Leon. It's nice to see you again. I'm wondering how Gary is, ZS6YI. Hadn't he got struck by lightning or something at the end of last year? But I don't know any more than that. Not him personally, but his station. So what have I been up to? Well, I have done one useful thing, I suppose, to do with the ATV. So let me think. I've got some pictures here. So I built a Pico tuner, and this sort of got me thinking about the Pi Pico with the Ethernet connection in there. And I thought that I could use that rather than Arduino or something for sort of remote control of the amplifier. So if I show a picture here, no, not that picture, that's something else altogether, isn't it? Right, so how do I do this? I stop that. Right. This is what I want to show. Where is it? Yes, so this is the amplifier behind the dish that I have. And what I've done was used a spare Pi Pico on a piece of Vera board, and it's got apart from the Ethernet connection, it's got 4 A to D inputs and lots of I/O on it, and it's only a few pounds, so it's quite an interesting. No, that's not it. I got a picture of this? No, I haven't. I've got pictures of nice dish, but that's where it is anyway, at the bottom there. It's a bit of a mess inside that box, and what I can do with this is just switch the output between the amplifier between the Pluto I use for narrowband, that is a revision C with a GPSDO oscillator, and the kit that I use for wideband, which happens to be another older one, and it's mounted here in that metal box underneath the amplifier. The only thing I haven't quite got right, I suppose, enthusiasms. I'm doing a bit of Whisper, as you can see here, and I found this old circuit board in a junk box, which was the board from this one here. It was it was the board from Angelia SDR, the main board from an Anan 100D, which was a common thing, I suppose, for SDRs about 10 years ago. But it does seem to work anyway. Anyway, that's enough rabbiting on from me. There's another Frank lined up next, and he is Frank ZS6GE. So I will put up a test card and hand it over to you, Frank, in sunny South Africa. It should be coming on to winter there now, but I'll hand it over to you, put up a test card and drop carrier.
Yeah, it is sunny. Yeah. Okay. Hello everybody. Good day, good afternoon, whatever. Talking about Pluto. Yeah, I have the normal Pluto, and it doesn't like my setup at the moment either. It gets too hot. So I put a big fan on it, but I really have to open it up and get some of these miniature heat sinks to glue onto the processor as a first step. It lasts a few minutes, depends obviously on the ambient, and then it disconnects from the USB. Bit of a pain, but anyway. What have I been up to? Well, I mentioned before that I have interference problem on shortwave, and I can report I made a little bit of progress for what it's worth. I've been doing some more fox hunting, sticking my loop antenna out of the side window of the car and driving around the neighborhood with people looking funny and strangely at me. But anyway, that's the way it goes, and I found out that I don't have just one interference problem, I have two, and that had confused me a while. And both of them are solar installations in the neighborhood. And the one that gives me the greatest grief I will bring on here. So you have to click about. That's on 14 megahertz, S9 plus, and it's wideband noise. It just sounds like white noise, and it's over the whole shortwave spectrum. That's at the 1 megahertz bandwidth. This is 4 megahertz bandwidth. And you notice there are also some other bits and pieces on top of it. And that is what it looks like at night. So here you have the normal stations, and there's a little bit of interference still here. And it's also around the neighborhood. And that's a problem when you drive around. You get signals that look similar all over the show. And I had then eventually pick a strong peak and concentrate on that one and disregarded all that rubbish. Turns out, let me just close that down. How do I get rid of it? Good question. Anyway, turns out that that one is a solar water heater, but an electrical one. With other words, it doesn't heat the water directly. It's solar panels that feed a glorified DC to DC converter. And that DC goes into the heating element of a hot water boiler. It's a dual element, 230 volt and DC. And I got some ferrite beads, these clip-on goodies, and I put 5 on each DC line that came out and also onto the control line. And the sad news is it didn't do much good. It helped on 10 meters and what is it, 17 meters, something like that, 24 megahertz. It brought the level down a bit, but it didn't kill it completely. So I have contacted the supplier eventually, because the installer didn't want to take any responsibility. And yeah, there it is at the moment. We'll see how far we go with that. And then the other problem, let me just bring it up again, is this one. Isn't that a beauty? Every 24 kilohertz, and it's a sun system. Has a different sticker on it, but it's a Chinese sun, and every 24 kilohertz, beautiful. Now it's nice and strong, but you know, it wasn't so annoying because you can get in, you can go in between. But yeah, I have written to them, but no answer yet. So I won't hold my breath. And that's also what it looks like at night. So they look similar, but they are not quite the same. So that is again that far away rubbish that comes from somewhere. Yeah. Okay, let me get rid of that. Now red. There we are. Can see myself again. Yeah, so I'm having fun. The effort was worthwhile. Leon, your 14 megahertz receiver again was very useful for close-up work, and it was so nice when that system was switched off. There was heavenly quiet on the frequency. But anyway, so that's the latest and the greatest. We'll see how it goes. Who's next? Peter, GW7BZY, 36.
I've got audio. Have we got audio? Yeah, we've got audio. Yeah, GW7BZY. Good afternoon to everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, etc. All good. I'll just quote. I didn't see Martin KO there. I did think one person might be. I've seen, but the Solent. The Whirling Repeater Group. Well, I think they bought bit of them. The Solent 23 SAM transmitter when the local repeater GB3TM came on air first. I used to do a microwave modules AM over to Dublin and to Bray, etc. And then the local TV repeater came on, courtesy of Brian KAZ. And I purchased a kit, my first ham radio kit, really. This is it in its computer power supply. And it has now, had some time ago now, a Motorola module. I can't remember how many watts it does, about 18 maybe, I don't know, 10 watts. In them days, I didn't have anything to test it with. Of course, I could probably now. I think it still works. It's been knocked about. It's been in through a few hands. It's wrapped up because last time it was left out on my doorstep. Yeah, the Solent, sorry, T1 Watt Yex was my first foray into amateur television, and I could never get it to tune properly. So with the lid on, so I drilled a hole in the lid and then tuned it while the lid was on, and that was fine. And of course, the FM repeater has enough auto sort of tuning that it followed it. So there we are. I have had a play this end. I've taken the voltage reducer, voila, from the linear amplifier fan, and now it's making a tremendous noise. You can't hear it, not for very long anyway, because the noise reduction I put from NVIDIA. Hopefully I'm synced, because I had some remarks earlier today as to my lip sync, which I wasn't stung by at all, and certainly not the fault of vMix. With that, what am I going to who am I handing it round to? I've got no idea. Probably to Martin. Hello, Martin. Excellent stuff. Excellent video. SRT repeater, excellent as well. I lost your email, the address for them, not the email address, but the URL for them. Otherwise, I'd have a play. And I've reinstalled 303 into my Pluto in the hope that maybe SDR television would work, but it hasn't worked at all. I'm having trouble updating or changing the firmware in the Pluto now. So I expect it's the Pluto to blame, and I might have to go to SSH. But I've been fighting the urge because nearly always ends badly. And I'll probably brick it, which I'm not looking forward to. With that, I'll hand it round to you, Martin, from GW7BZY. So thanks for bringing me in. Let's go for a test card.
Okay, looks like I've got it. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. This is Simon, G4ELI. I just joined in at the end. I'd been listening to the Formula One on the BBC. But I had been watching this and while listening to the Formula One. And Martin, thanks for letting me in. What have I been doing this week? Well, finishing off a beautiful 12 by 8 foot Rhino greenhouse, which is now full of tomatoes, chilies, peppers and all that sort of thing, cucumbers. Working on SDR television, improving the match filter, the root raised cosine match filter, which was not tracking the transmission frequency. So that's now working better. I've also been slightly tuning my constellation lookup tables. And I've just spent the last 3 hours while watching television, listening to Formula One, reading research papers into LTPC. It's fantastic stuff to do, but I'm realising my brain's nowhere near as agile as it once used to be. So there we go. Lovely day down here in southwest Cornwall. Not too hot, not raining, and I'll be dog sitting this evening. So with that, I will pass it back over to you, Martin, and I will hang around for another round if there's going to be one. G4ELI, I suppose.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Simon. Yeah, I dabbled, sorry, and I didn't listen to the start of your thing, so I haven't seen the Grand Prix yet, because I watched the rerun, because I don't have it live. So please don't tell me what happened. That's me, for those that were wondering. It's that good-looking guy in the middle with some hair. Yes. That's the real me. But yeah, I used to have some hair. Um, my mother told me she had a go at me for growing my hair long, and that was it. I just grew it longer and longer and longer. So there we go. Um, yeah, I can't comment on too much that you said there, other than I caught some bit about the filter that you'd rehashed. That's good. Yeah, look forward to. I've been chatting to a friend of mine, G4WTV, who was in that video as well. He was just I talked him into having a go with SDR TV television, and he's playing with that at the moment. Probably he's got the beacon, so he's only got the receive going so far because he's not got a Pluto. Frank, with the interference, before I forget, that's horrendous. I get some similar sort of stuff depending what the solar panels are doing, I think, around here. I'm not a big HF operator, but it is really annoying. Sometimes it's relatively clean, other times it's just out of this world. And to you there, Peter. Yeah, sound was more in sync. I'm very difficult for me to judge whether things are plus or minus, but it was just so far out this morning. I don't know what you did to correct it, but certainly a big improvement. And the Solent transmitter, or we took it over as being the Worthing transmitter and called it a TX23. And I've repaired so many of those. And Jeff DHE, who was at the front in that little lecture, he designed the sort of phase lock loop little board that went across the oscillator that you could have a couple of crystals on and switch between multiple channels. So that fixed the stability side of things. It was quite good. We used them on air repeaters down in Brighton at the time. I thought I had some sound coming from somewhere, and I probably had one of my other of the four windows tuned up. And to Ohan, thank you very much for yeah, it yeah, the cigarette. I got into cigars at one time in a big way, but yeah, I wish I knew I was coming out sound wise. But anyway, I can hear myself up. Perhaps I haven't turned myself down. No, I've turned myself down there. I don't know. I must have another window open somewhere or something. I wonder if it's on the SRT repeater. That could be it. Yes, there was a station that came on that, and I think that's where it was coming from. It's getting me totally confused. Yeah, great to see you anyway, Simon. And the weather here changeable, I think, down in Somerset. There's bits of sunshine and not. Datv Red, which is what I'm using at the moment. Which if we go over to screen one, that's what it looks like that I'm running, with all the bells and whistles and such like, and the display there at the moment. Suddenly I'm getting some other bits and pieces that are coming in, but that with its when I try and demonstrate things, nothing's ever going to work, but it's got lots of bits and pieces like the time stream analyzer, which is Ohan's built into it, which is quite good. Usually when I try and do things, plus it's got various receive capabilities, but I've got all sorts of things connected up to it. But anyway, I'm having fun with that. I have fun with all the different things. SDR television as well. I've got them ready on another Pluto, but we've gone back and revisited this one, which we used to run 24/7. Then got sidetracked because somebody else brought something else out, and you just got to have a go, haven't you, with whatever's around. Right. Was there anything else I was going to comment on? Probably. Phil, the fan was bigger, Phil, than I thought it was going to be. And I wonder whether Leon's now recovered from seeing a picture of me. And I had no information on Gary, but I expect Leon has. Other than the last thing I'd heard from Leon, I think it was that his computer that he'd got wasn't performing as he'd hoped. So he wasn't going to be coming on until that was sorted out. I don't know. But I suspect work's taken over. Plus he wasn't well for one weekend or two or whatever. Anyway, let's try another round. And I'll try and be less confused, shall we say. So over to you there, Leon, from GHKOE.
Okay, thanks Martin. G8KOE and the group ZS1MM returning. Okay, a nice picture, Martin. Excellent, excellent, excellent. That system is really working very, very nicely. I'm envious. I'm still working with old school stuff here. Okay, Gary. Gary's grandson passed his amateur exam during the week or somewhere. He got his certificate. There he is. So I asked Gary, now when is he going to get his QO100 kit? So his answer, let me just get there. Wanneer sy oupa se stasie regkom, that means when his grandpa's station is back on the air. He says he transmits, but enormous pixelation. So he won't come on the air with such a poor signal. He says the codec is working beautifully. He says it's most likely the Pluto. I don't know whether the Pluto can cause pixelation, but yeah, he reckons that's probably. The computer, the reception, OBS, and Owen's program is all working, except that the transmission is hopeless. It is just full of pixelation. Now that's normally when you have slow motion, slow movement of the transport stream or something. I don't know. Know very little about this stuff. But yeah, that was, I think, yesterday or the day before when Gary sent me that. I think it was yesterday. Or was it the day before? Anyway. So Gary's still battling. It's not drivers or anything anymore, and he's got that very, very fancy new computer. It's all running now. But he says the video transmission is really, really terrible. Okay, right. Then the next one was Phil. Yeah, okay, Gary. And yeah, you put the fan on, and I'm glad that it works, Phil. That's good. That's very good. Frank, G8PQH. Do you have an open window or something with a tree outside the window? Because I can hear leaves blowing, you know, and it comes and goes. I can hear. You've got very nice audio quality, and it sounds like a tree standing outside your window, and I can hear the leaves in the wind. It sounds very genuine. Okay, Frank Golf Echo. You are completely overdriven on your audio. It's clipping. And you've got it on your screen there, the bar graph. It's all in red and it's stopping. It's clipping there. It's although you're not so loud, so you're clipping early in your audio stage because you are much softer than Peter. Peter's got nice audio, no clipping, nothing, but he's louder than you are. So your clipping must be early in your audio stage. and it's compressing because the fans are roaring, and then you start talking, and it's about the same volume, but I mean it's clipping. So you've never been like that before, so we've got something funny going on there. And the solar problems, yes. Oh man, that is something that's going to haunt us, because they're going up like mushrooms, these private solar things, and they are noisy. But I must just warn you, Frank, be very careful when you start fitting ferrites on those solar panels. Somebody whom I know, I suggest, he had the same problem, but he's not a radio ham. But I don't know how your DSTV works in the UK, but over here, if you have a decoder and you have a second decoder, they have a heartbeat signal going via the coax to the second box, which is round about at 7 megs. And this particular person, his solar array was so noisy that the 7 megs was corrupted, that the second decoder just said no heartbeat, and so no lock, no heartbeat. So I said to him, okay, well, it's definitely the charging regulator, because at night when there's no sun it's working beautifully. So it's not the inverter itself, but I mean they come down with 500 volt DC from the panels, and then they chop that up and bring it down to 48 volts for the battery. It's that inverter. So I said to him, I said, you must just put right here at they've got isolators, fuses right at the inverter where the DC from the solar panel comes in. Just take a nice big ferrite ring and just put like 2 turns of the positive and the negative through there, and carry on, I mean, he says he did it. I gave him the ferrites and he did it, and he said when he closed the breaker, the the box just made some screeching noises and kaboom, and it was gone. So he got a new one, a different brand, and still the same problem. So I said to him, well, you can try the ferrite again, or you can take caps, from the negative one and the positive one to ground. Because the noise is not generated by the solar panels, it's generated by this inverter, but the cables to the solar panels act as antennas, running past his TV coaxes and stuff, and interfering with that heartbeat 7 meg signal. So he tried the caps, and exactly the same happened. Chee! Screeching, kaboom, and it's gone. So then he bought an expensive, still the same panels and the same battery, but he just bought a very big, expensive inverter. Well, obviously with the solar regulator stuff. Perfect. No noise, nothing. So, 2 things. The cheap ones make a noise. The expensive ones don't make a noise. And the cheap ones, if you try doing things on the DC input from the solar panels, they tend to blow up. So, be careful. Okay, that's that one. Peter GW7BZY, your audio sync is perfect now. There's nothing wrong now. I can't fault that. Simon, hello to you. You have, I don't know if I've mentioned it to you before, but you have a hiss on your audio. Picture is good, but there's a hiss. If you stop talking, it's a continuous, like an old transistor hiss. Like something is running too high gain and you're putting low level, because your audio level is fine, but there's a hiss. So somewhere there's a gain running too high or whatever. I don't know what your system is like, but there is definitely a hiss in the background, and it's not acoustic. It's definitely not acoustic. When you shut down and your pattern comes up, it's still the hiss. Anyway, so that's Simon's I think I've done all the things. Yeah. Okay. So I give it back to Phil. M0PIT for the group from ZS1 Mike in Worcester.
That's my test card. Brings back memories of pictures rolling, etc. Yeah. Don't really have a great deal to say, actually. Congratulations to Gary's grandson. It would certainly be good to see some fresh blood on the satellite. Yeah, it's. I'm not sure how the licensing works out there, but over here, foundation level, you're not allowed to transmit. Certainly not up to the. Well, you are allowed to transmit, but low power. Certainly not up to the satellite. But it might be different out there. I don't know. Noise floor. I've never done any measurements over here. I know I've got problem on 2 meters when I used to do HF, and I haven't done anything on HF. Well, I don't know, for about 5 years. But I know before then I couldn't use 40 meters, and it was basically blotted out by the trains. It just every time a train went past. I mean, the railway line is probably 200 meters from here down in a cutting. But when they went past, it just basically took out 40 metres. But since then, certainly a neighbour over the road has got quite an array of solar panels on their roof, and I've never really checked the spectrum. So perhaps I should do that. Yeah, it's give me something to do, wouldn't it? Get the analyzer out there and see what I can pick up. There's quite a lot of talk about SDR television, and that's one of the reasons why I bought the SDR. Why I bought the Pluto Plus. It was to do some experiments with SDR television. I was able to load it because it takes 2 programs. It's SDR console and SDR television. You have to load both of those programs for it to work, and it would load up on my experimental Windows machine. But the program, it would work. I'm not saying it would fully run, but it worked. This is SDR television. But I won't run it in anger on a Windows box. It will be a Linux box. So having got it, knowing what programs I need, etc., and it does actually sort of work. I tried to put it on Linux. SDR console works very well on Linux. Okay, you have to use an emulation program called Wine. So SDR console ran, and then I loaded SDR television on it, and basically it didn't work. And I don't really want to pursue it. That's the reason why it didn't work, and that is because of this emulation program called Wine. And it just, I certainly do not have the skills to be able to go into Wine and find out why SDR television is not working, etc. So it's a bit of a shame, but at this point in time I can't run it, and probabilities that I will never be able to run it. But hey ho, I suppose that's one of the failings of running this peculiar operating system. But everything else seems to work okay. It'd be good to see Gary back on the satellite. Glad to hear that everything seems to be working apart from pixelization. I've got no idea if Pluto can cause that. Got no idea at all. But anyhow, I'm sure he will get it all working in the very near future, and we may even see Gary's grandson on the satellite as well, which would be great. So right, I'm going to hand it over now to Frank. So I won't put up my wobbly test card, I'll put up a proper one. But yeah, so have a good week everyone, and I shall put up a test card, and all being well I shall see you all next week.
Right, I think that's that's turned the audio off a bit. Thank you, Phil. Yes, I'm pleased to hear that Gary was getting his equipment back together again. Pixelated signals. Well, yes, bad signals never stop me. I seem to remember the PC that I had before, when it warmed up, it would suddenly start dropping enormous numbers of frames. I think it was last year, didn't we have the link up with Australian and American DATV stations? And having been watching this for some time, the PC had warmed up, or something had warmed up. It solemnly produced a 1 frame per second video, which was sound was okay. Well, hopefully he's back on soon, and so is his grandson. Looks like a cheerful young person. So that's good. That noise Frank's getting, well, it looks dreadful to be fair. My neighbour has just put a solar panel on his roof, and being as I was trying to rekindle an interest in HF, I was interested to see if vast quantities of noise would turn up during the day and then not at night, but so far I haven't seen anything particularly bad. I mean, the noise levels, to be fair, is pretty high around here. We're on the coast, but there's quite a lot close by, a lot of houses. The shack is actually a very small shed in the garden. So that's the reason, Leon, why you can hear trees outside, because there is some trees outside. If I put the other camera on, wow, sophistication, eh? Yes, the door is where all the light is coming through, and and that's this is the door here, and there's a tree just outside there anyway. Yes. Anyway, nice to put this one back on because I like this one better. But nice to see Simon G4ELI on. I don't think I've seen you on before, though. I did feature in one of your newsletters, I think, about SDR television. It had a picture of me in a Christmas jumper or something. If you scrolled right down to the bottom, I'm not sure that would encourage people to get on DATV. So I've been a big fan of SDR console, obviously, for years. Used it for years. Excellent stuff. SDR television, I was thinking of, rather than changing a setup here, where I've got, every time I touch something it goes wrong. I was thinking of trying to use it for terrestrial use, and I've got a Libra SDR, and I've got some bits to make some amplifiers up, and got some ideas about filters and things like that. So we will see if I can generate anything at 70 sems or 23 centimeters. Quite who I'm going to exchange pictures with, I don't know. But be something interesting to do. Anyway, I'm going to hand it over to Frank, ZS6 GE, and wish everyone a very, very cheerful and happy week. Certainly in the UK, the weather's getting better. The summer is coming. It's the beginning of June. So what's not to like? So I'll put up a test card, and what should I put up? Yes, test card of some kind, and hand it over to Frank, ZS6 GE.
I can hear the background news. Yeah, okay. Leon, the problem is your ears work too well. I turned down I turned down the volume a bit. I don't know if that drops general audio also. I might have to look at some setting now. I haven't touched anything, but you never know where you clicked on something you shouldn't have done. Yeah, okay. Inverters, you're quite right. I haven't touched the thing myself because for exactly that reason, if something blows up, then it's my fault. So I had the installer install these ferrite beads, and also only the clip-on ones. I didn't ask him to loop it around the toroid, because that means installing and disconnecting and all sorts of things. And if now the supplier makes a plan, then it's his problem. And yeah, it's true, because I have a solar installation myself, and I can't hear it. Obviously, if I get close to 3 meters or so to the wires, all hell breaks loose. But I can't hear it in my own station because any other noise is stronger. So it just goes to show it can be done. But to fix it afterwards is a hell of a job, because if it hasn't been designed in, then it's a losing battle. I mean, I have in one room, I have one LED ceiling light, and that creates a racket when you enter that room with something sensitive. And I try to suppress it. With other words, I took it down, I put capacitors in, I put ferrites in, and I could not tame it. Basically, I've given up. So doing it afterwards is a losing battle. Okay, I have nothing else to add. Have a good Sunday evening, what's left of it. and we'll see each other again sometime. From 36 Golf Echo, and who gets
DW7BZY. Yeah, all good. Yeah. That's hopefully you can hear me. I've turned my auto gain off on the microphone, so I'm now. Because what did I do to cure my lip sync issues? I got my laptop and pressed it into service and put Open Tuner on it, and then plugged it into my telly, one of the spare Shack tellies, and there was quite a difference in lip sync. It looked perfect on my the transmit computer, but obviously the with it doing the encoding and decoding in hardware, it's probably adding some delay somewhere. And I'm glad it's not too bad now as far as it seems. So it's all good. That's the only difficulty. I think all the difficulty with digital is the audio. I'm trying to synchronize it for different receivers. Yeah, my fan on my transmitter starts speeding up and slowing down. That's something that's going to have to be looked at. I'm going to get my voltage, but my meter out. I don't know if I've got a meter that works, or I can find it with a battery in it, because I know it's a terrible thing for radiometer to not have even a basic meter, but it seems to speed up and slow down all of a sudden, which is quite disconcerting. But yeah, because it was a regulated power bucket, voltage dropper, so it didn't happen. So anyway, I don't know what's going on with that. Something I'm going to have to look into when I've been on. So thanks everybody, come on, and all very interesting. Great stuff. I see this is a Mark III version of beta. Well, I couldn't find the Mark II. It just seemed to be the same bit of. I looked at the file, and the file had the same title as the previous Mark I version. So I don't know whether I was downloading the wrong version, or was it the wrong version on the page. I don't know, but SDR hasn't improved for me. Probably Pluto's fault. I shall maybe put my hand in my pocket and purchase SDR dongle. RTL dongle type receiver, and maybe have another go just to see whether it will receive. But at the moment, I'm not fiddling with Pluto as it works, and I quite like the F1 EJP software because it occupies less space on the screen, whereas the other one you had to have a monitor, and I don't have the real estate, so I've only got 2 monitors. I'm poor. I know it's a bit inadequate, but I've only got 2 monitors. With that, a man of many monitors, over to you, Martin, from GW7BZY.
Okay, right, me talking, G4ELI. Yes, it should be me now. Looking at the reasons for possible hiss, so let's just go here. Yeah, probably got too much processing on and it's picking up something. I'll just drop the processing down a bit, but of course we've got a 3 to 4 second delay. Anyway, I can look at that. I'm running a feature which is in beta 3, which I haven't released yet. I'm doing a data recording. So the IQ coming out of the Pluto is being saved to a file, and I can replay it, so I can then go and listen to what I'm saying. Now then, for anyone who's got a relatively modern Canon camera, Canon have released some software so that you can use it as a webcam. Unfortunately, I have a very modern camera that does work, but the previous one I've got, which is a Canon 7D Mark I, is sadly not supported. Big shame, because I've got some lovely lenses on it. The 7D Mark II is. So I just thought I'd pass that info along. Regarding solar panel noise and noise in general, I'm in a beautifully quiet location here. Very, very nice. Very, very quiet indeed. I have solar panels, Chinese inverters, Huhai, I think it's the way you pronounce it, inverters and batteries, and lovely piece of engineering. No noise whatsoever. Neighbours the other side have got something, and I don't know what it is. No noise, and a bit further along as well. So really can't complain. I'm just running through various notes that I've put down here. So there we go. Yeah, SDR TV Beta 2. One way to see the difference is the title when you start it. The title up at the top has actually got, it says the version I'm using here, SDR Television 1.0 June 1st 2025. So obviously I've got the most recent. And yes, an RTL dongle will work perfectly fine for receiving. Now then, you can use something else. I've actually got, if anybody's heard of them, Spectrum V6 from Aronia in Germany. Cost €10,000. You can guess who didn't pay for that. And that's a very, very nice receiver to use. Beautifully quiet. And I can pick up 64 meg of bandwidth. Don't really know why I'm going on about that. Running SDR television on Linux, I really wouldn't advise trying to run it under emulators at all. In a way, you're asking for trouble. And I do try to disable that. You can, when you start a Windows program, add code, which will detect if you're running under an emulator. So, for example, an ARM emulating x86. Now, that does work. The Mac emulation is outstandingly good. But for the time being, if you try and do that, it should bring up a pop-up window and tell you to go and get lost. Oh, dearie me, names have gone. Frank, G8PQH, using SDR television terrestrially. Well, remember, this is phase shift keying. You may not know that, but DVB-S2, which we're using at the moment, that's phase shift keying. So you're going to suffer from multipathing. This is the big advantage of DVB-T2, which won't have the multipathing. But the disadvantage of DVB-T2 is I don't think anyone's written a freestanding transmitter which will interface directly with the Pluto. I'm not really planning on doing that myself. I may write a DVB-T2 receiver because I'd like to do that properly and get DAB. But also I've got this crazy goal to be able to decode all the television stations on a single multiplex on a Windows computer because they're using DVB-T. So that's pretty well my notes. Apart from pixelation, you're going to get pixelation if the encoder can't do its, if the video encoder can't do its job properly. Now there are, when you run programs like FFmpeg and so on, they often have the option of using a hardware decoder if there is one. For example, your Intel computer will often come with one. I believe AMD-based computers come with them. Some of these are very poor and should be disabled. I have the same thing. I'm not using FFmpeg. I'm using something called Windows Media Foundation. And there I do disable the use of hardware encoders. Not NVIDIA for decoding, for encoding. I use NVIDIA. That's what I'm using at the moment. I'm actually encoding from the camera into the glorious picture you see at the moment using NVIDIA. But when you don't have NVIDIA, you often have the option of using an Intel or AMD encoder, and some of them can be very poor. So that's generally the reason. It won't be the Pluto, because if the Pluto's got issues, there are going to be so many errors that the LDPC won't correct it. So what you see is what's being transmitted, unless, of course, errors are being ignored, and it's a very cheap solution which isn't properly running the FEC. So there we go, enough rabbiting from me. It's gone a bit cloudy now, which is a shame. And I'm being bombarded with messages from Mike G0MJW, who is watching but not participating. So with that, over to Martin. Back to you. Let's see, where's a test card?
Right, let's make sure we got some audio, which I think we have, probably, maybe. Right, let's make sure we got some audio. Yeah, your audio, I think, probably sounded better, was a bit lower, but Leon's the one with the ears. I don't have very good ears. I was in the sort of sound trade in the repair side of nightclubs and PAs, etc. And I didn't have the ears. Need someone that's been in a group or something with a number of that were involved in things, and they could just hear things that I couldn't. I could fix A and B if I compare A with B, and if there was a difference, the left speaker with the right speaker, then we could fix the problem. Well, that was actually a superb net. Thanks everybody for popping up, and thanks Simon, and thanks for not telling me the results. And look forward to your next beta. Give it a whirl. There's just so much going on at the moment, which is fun, and I think that's the big thing. And before I forget, the VK boys, as it was mentioned by Frank. Right, let's enable me microphone. As was mentioned by Frank, he mentioned the DATV party, which is a link up via the Tinternet and all other sources and relayed through the satellite, etc., etc. Again, what happened in last weekend in August. So that'll be. It was good fun last time, but lots of things that can go wrong. Whether I'm involved, I don't know. More than likely we'll get involved in one way or the other, but it's usually sort of 10 minutes of bits and pieces from all sorts of different stations, which is good. I'm sure there's lots of other things. I should make notes. Terrible. Anyway, I expect others will pop up after I close the net. Mike particularly, I have a feeling he's going to pop up and have a chat with you. So I say 7 days everybody. Thanks very much for the net. I have stuck things on my YouTube channel, so there will be a not sure whether the main YouTube is being streamed or not. I don't know whether it's streaming it or not. I didn't have a chance to check it. I know some people were sort of saying that the audio was a bit low last week, but I haven't checked that either. So 7.3's tool, I'll put up a test card and close the worldwide net for this week. And thanks all for taking part from G8KOE.
Okay, thanks, Martin. Yes, just for Simon. Simon, Gary is using an NVIDIA card, a very, very, very expensive one, a really fancy one. I think it's the same one that he used before. I'm also using an NVIDIA card, not nearly as fancy as Gary's one. It cost me quite a packet, but yeah, we're not using the onboard encoders in the computer on the motherboard, and even I've got pixelation on my face when I start moving. Gary never had. His was excellent when it was still in the old computer until the lightning got it. But yes. I agree with you. I don't think it'll be the Pluto, but it's somewhere in the video business. Anyway, okay, 73s everybody. See you next week. ZS1mm is now going QRT.
Okay, just come back to you very briefly there, Leon. Sounds to me like the decoder. The NVIDIA can generate complex encoded streams, completely legal, completely valid. Obviously, it's NVIDIA, but it can overwhelm the decoder. Sometimes the decoders need to be restarted, or they just can't. It just can't handle it. So I would suggest that's what it is. And with the decoder, for example, if you're using VLC, disable hardware decoding in the decoder as well. That's my feedback on that. It is getting on for, good grief, 4:30. So, well, it is gone 4:30, so I'm going out to play in my brand new greenhouse and throw the ball around for my dog. 7-3 Leon, bye-bye.